I saw something that really made me stop and think.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
This information, I think it was from Tufts, basically saying that something like 7 out of 10 older adults,
Wow, that many.
yeah, are like unknowingly starting their day with breakfast foods that actually work against them, sabotaging their mornings almost.
That rings true. It really does. We see people dealing with, just feeling tired all the time or this low-level inflammation they can't explain.
That mental fog, too.
Exactly, that fuzzy thinking. And so often, when you dig a bit, it comes back to breakfast.
Yeah.
Those foods they've eaten for years, thinking they're fine, maybe even healthy.
Right. Familiar doesn't always mean good for you, does it? Especially, after 60 when our bodies are changing.
Absolutely.
So welcome everyone to this deep dive. We look into things that genuinely impact your well-being. And today, we're talking breakfast, something we all do.
Such a crucial meal.
It really is. But we're going to explore how some really common breakfast choices, especially for seniors, might actually be leading to those energy crashes we hate, that feeling of inflammation, and just that cloudy thinking. We want to avoid that.
Definitely.
So our mission today, it's pretty simple. We want to identify 3 common breakfast traps, things you might be falling into without realizing.
And then offer some easy swaps.
Exactly. Simple, effective alternatives using what we like to call senior-friendly superfoods.
I like that term.
Yeah. And look, these aren't about, completely overhauling your diet overnight.
No drastic changes needed.
Just smart little adjustments, tweaks, really. But they can have a big impact on your energy, keeping blood sugar stable and supporting your brain, your bones, all that good stuff as you age.
Well said.
And to kick things off, the first hidden danger we'll look at. It's a food many people think is great for heart health. But surprisingly, it might be linked to more inflammation and even, those senior moments of forgetfulness.
Okay, let's dive into that first one then. This first breakfast trap, it's flavored instant oatmeal.
Ah, yes, the little packet.
Exactly. Now, don't get me wrong, plain whole oatmeal can be a really good choice. It's got that heart-healthy reputation for a reason in many cases.
Right, the basic stuff.
But those convenient flavored instant packets, they can be, a bit tricky. It's kind of interesting how something marketed as so wholesome can hide a few problems.
What's the main issue with them?
Well, typically they're loaded with added sugars, loads of it, plus artificial flavors to taste like fruit, and the oats themselves. They're often super processed.
Like into tiny flakes.
Yeah, really fine flakes, which means your body digests them incredibly fast, very quickly.
Okay, and that quick digestion, that's the problem, isn't it? It hits your system fast.
That's exactly it. It creates this blood sugar bomb effect, essentially.
A bomb. Wow.
Well, think about it. The refined oats, all that added sugar, it breaks down so fast, it just floods your bloodstream with glucose.
Okay.
And what goes up quickly?
Must come down the crash.
Precisely. That rapid rise is almost always followed by a pretty significant drop. And that roller coaster, that up and down, is a huge reason why people get that mid-morning slump.
Ah, okay. Around 10 or 11 a.m. maybe?
Yeah, you might suddenly feel shaky or really tired, maybe even a bit grumpy or irritable, even though you had breakfast just a couple of hours ago.
It's like a quick burst of energy and then PFD. Call.
Exactly. Your body burns through it super fast and then runs out of fuel.
And there's research on this, right? It's not just a feeling people have.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There was a study, I think 2021, in the journal Nutrients. They looked specifically at older adults.
Okay.
And they found that people who ate these high glycemic breakfasts, the ones that spike your blood sugar fast, they reported much bigger swings in energy level.
Bigger swings?
Yeah, and significantly more fatigue by midday compared to those who had steadier energy breakfasts.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Could that packet of oatmeal be why you feel wiped out by lunchtime?
Definitely food for thought. And it sounds like it's not just about feeling tired right then and there. There are longer-term things, too.
That's the concern, yes. Over time, doing this day after day, these repeated sugar spikes and crashes, they can have bigger consequences.
Like what?
Well, it can lead to your body's cells becoming less responsive to insulin. That's called insulin resistance.
Okay, I've heard of that.
And that can contribute to weight gain, and it increases the risk for type 2 diabetes down the line. Plus, there's growing research linking unstable blood sugar to cognitive decline, problems with memory and focus.
So that innocent-looking bowl could actually be sort of chipping away at your health long term.
There's definitely something to be aware of, something seemingly harmless having these potential impacts.
Okay, so if the flavored instant stuff is out, or at least not ideal. What's a better way to get those oatmeal benefits?
Right, the swap. Our senior-friendly swap here is steel-cut oats, and then top them with some chia seeds and a little sprinkle of cinnamon.
Steel cut. How are they different?
They're much less processed. Think of the whole oat grain, the groat. They just cut it into a few pieces. That's it.
Okay.
So your body digests them much more slowly. You get this nice, steady release of energy all morning. No big spike, no big crash.
Steady energy. That sounds good.
And they're packed with soluble fiber. That's the kind that's great for helping lower that bad LDL cholesterol, and it really helps with digestion too.
Okay, steel-cut oats. And then you said chia seeds. I hear about those everywhere.
They are little powerhouses, truly, packed with omega-3 fatty acids.
Good for the brain and inflammation.
Exactly. Really good for heart health and brain health, helps fight inflammation. Plus, they've got tons of fiber, which adds to that feeling of fullness and helps keep blood sugar even steadier. And magnesium, another key nutrient.
Wow. Okay. Chia seeds and cinnamon, just for taste.
Mostly, but it does more. Some research suggests cinnamon can actually help your body regulate blood sugar levels naturally.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. And it adds that lovely warm flavor without needing any sugar. So you see the difference?
Yeah, absolutely.
With this swap, you skip the sugar crash, the empty calories. Instead, you get sustained energy, stuff that supports your memory, your heart. It's a much better foundation for the day.
Makes total sense. Okay, that's trap number 1. What's the second breakfast trap we should watch out for?
All right, trap number 2. Fruit-flavored yogurt.
Another one that seems healthy. Yogurt's good for you, right?
Yeah.
Probiotics, calcium.
Well, plain yogurt can be fantastic, but the fruit-flavored kinds, that's where you need to look closer. The perception is, yeah, probiotics, maybe some fruit, quick and easy. But the hidden truth, most of them are absolutely loaded with added sugar. It's actually shocking sometimes.
How much are we talking?
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
A single small pot can easily have more sugar than, say, a couple of cookies or even some ice cream servings.
Get out! More sugar than ice cream.
It can happen, yeah. And it's not just the sugar. Some use artificial sweeteners instead or alongside.
And those aren't great either.
Well, the research is ongoing, but some studies suggest they might mess with your gut health, the good bacteria, and potentially even increase cravings for sweet things later. Kind of counterproductive.
Do you have an example? Like a specific yogurt?
Yeah, just looking at a popular brand, a standard single-serving strawberry yogurt, it can easily pack like 17 grams of sugar.
17 grams? How much is that in teaspoons?
That's over 4 teaspoons of added sugar.
4 teaspoons in one little yogurt pot that people think is a health food. Wow.
Exactly. It's quite revealing when you start reading labels.
So what's happening in the body then? Same kind of thing as the oatmeal?
Very similar response, yes. All that sugar hits your system fast. Big blood sugar spike. Your body pumps out insulin to deal with it.
Okay.
This whole process can contribute to inflammation throughout your body. And then, inevitably,
The crash comes later.
you're setting yourself up for that mid-morning energy dip again, or maybe cravings for more sugar, or just feeling generally sluggish, kind of groggy.
It makes you question why these are marketed the way they are.
It does. And these effects, they can be even more significant for older adults.
Why is that?
Well, as we age, several things can happen. Our bodies often become a bit less efficient at handling sugar. Insulin sensitivity can decrease.
Metabolism slows down too, right?
Metabolism tends to slow down,
Yeah.
And chronic inflammation becomes a bigger worry, generally affecting joints, the brain, heart health.
So pouring more sugar on the fire is not a good idea.
Not ideal, no.
Yeah.
In fact, there was a study, I think in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. It linked higher sugar intake in older adults with poorer cognitive function, especially in folks who already had some mild memory concerns.
So that sweet yogurt might actually be making memory fogginess worse.
It's a potential contributing factor, absolutely. Something to consider if you rely on those flavored yogurts.
Okay, point taken. So if the sugary fruit on the bottom stuff is out, what's the better yogurt choice?
The swap is simple and delicious. Plain Greek yogurt.
Plain Greek. Why Greek specifically?
Greek yogurt is strained. That process removes some of the liquid whey, lactose. So it ends up much higher in protein and generally lower in natural sugar than regular yogurt.
More protein, less sugar. Okay.
Plus, it still has those fantastic live and active cultures, the probiotics, which are great for your gut health. Really important for digestion as we get older.
And the protein helps you feel full.
Exactly. It promotes satiety, keeps you feeling satisfied longer, and it really helps stabilize blood sugar levels. No big spikes.
Okay, plain Greek yogurt. But plain can be a bit Plain.
But that's where the toppings come in. Instead of the sugary jam-like stuff, add your own fresh berries.
Like blueberries, strawberries.
Perfect. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, whatever you like. They're packed with antioxidants.
Which are good for the brain.
Fantastic for brain health, fighting that oxidative stress. Plus, they have fiber, which slows down the absorption of their natural sugars. It's a much gentler effect than the added sugars.
Makes sense. And you mentioned walnuts, too.
Yes. A small handful of walnuts, they add a lovely crunch, first of all.
Texture's good.
It is. But they're also nutritional powerhouses. Excellent source of omega-3s again, and other compounds that help fight inflammation. Great for your heart, great for your brain.
So good fats and anti-inflammatory stuff.
Exactly. Some studies even suggest walnuts might help improve memory and mood over time.
Really?
Yeah. So think about that combination. The protein and probiotics from the yogurt, the antioxidants and fiber from the berries, the healthy fats and brain boosters from the walnuts.
That sounds like a genuinely powerful breakfast.
It really is. Supports digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, nourishes your brain and body. A world of difference from the sugary fruit yogurt.
Okay, that's a great swap. Now, what's our third and final breakfast trap?
All right, number 3. This might surprise some people. It's white toast, or even those breads often labeled as low-calorie wheat.
Oh, really? Toast seems so basic, so harmless, light, easy.
That's the common thinking, yeah. It's light, easy to chew, doesn't feel too heavy first thing. Maybe seems sensible, especially the local versions.
Well, what's a catch?
The reality is, most standard white bread, and frankly, a lot of the brown-colored wheat bread in supermarkets, they're made primarily with refined white flour.
Even the ones that say wheat.
Often, yes. They might add some bran back for color or texture, but the base is still heavily processed flour. It's interesting how the labels can be a bit misleading sometimes.
Okay. And refined flour isn't great.
No. That refined flour, along with preservatives and other additives they often contain, they can just be harder for older digestive systems to handle efficiently.
And you mentioned earlier, it acts like sugar.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
Refined carbs like white flour break down very, very quickly into glucose in your bloodstream.
Another blood sugar spike.
Exactly. Same pattern. Big spike, potential crash later. And nutritionally, they offer very little. Minimal vitamins, minerals, fiber, mostly just empty calories.
What about those low-calorie wheat breads? Are they any better?
Sometimes they can be worse, oddly enough. To get the calories down, they might use more fillers, artificial sweeteners, or other ingredients that can potentially irritate the gut. And they still usually lack significant fiber.
So low-calorie doesn't automatically mean healthy.
Definitely not. And the impact goes beyond just blood sugar with these refined breads.
How so?
Well, remember the link between unstable blood sugar and cognition. Refined carbs can also directly impact memory and concentration.
Ah, okay.
There was a study, Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience, I believe. It found a pretty clear link between seniors eating a lot of refined carbohydrates and scoring lower on cognitive tests.
Lower scores. In what areas?
Particularly short-term memory seemed to be affected.
Wow. So that morning toast could actually be contributing to feeling forgetful or having that brain fog later on.
It's a distinct possibility, yes. That mid-morning mental cloudiness. It might not just be age. It could be partly fueled by your breakfast choice. A sobering thought, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, so if white bread and maybe even regular wheat bread aren't the best base, what should we use instead? What's the swap?
The senior-friendly swap here is sprouted grain toast.
Sprouted grain. Like Ezekiel bread, maybe?
Exactly like that, yes. That's a popular example. Sprouted grain breads are made from whole grains, wheat berries, barley, lentils, spelt, etc., that have been soaked and allowed to actually sprout, just begin to grow before they're ground into flour.
What does the sprouting do?
It's fascinating, actually. That sprouting process starts to break down some of the starches and anti-nutrients in the grain. This makes the bread much easier to digest.
It's easier digestion.
And it also naturally increases the levels of available nutrients, like fiber and protein. So you get more bang for your buck, nutritionally.
More fiber and protein means steadier blood sugar, too.
Precisely. It helps keep those blood sugar levels much more stable, giving you that sustained energy release we've been talking about. Plus, they tend to be richer in B vitamins, magnesium, things your body needs for energy, nerve function, and just clearer thinking.
Okay, sprouted grain toast, that's the base. What do we put on it instead of, say, just butter or jam?
Instead of regular butter or maybe a sugary jam or marmalade, try some almond butter.
Almond butter, why that?
Almond butter is a great source of healthy monounsaturated fats, good for your heart, and it's rich in vitamin E.
Vitamin E is good for the brain, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's strongly linked to better brain aging and also helps lower inflammation levels. Plus, the fat and protein in almond butter make it really satisfying. Helps you feel full longer without that carb crash.
Okay, good fats, vitamin E, keeps you full.
Nice. And you mentioned one more thing.
Just a little sprinkle on top. Ground flaxseed,
Flaxseed, what does that add?
another omega-3 boost, especially ALA omega-3s. Plus even more fiber, both soluble and insoluble. And something called lignans.
Lignans.
Yeah, they're plant compounds that research suggests might help with hormone balance and are good for heart health, too. So that little sprinkle adds quite a nutritional punch.
Wow. So look at the whole picture of that swap. Sprouted toast for easy digestion and steady energy, almond butter for healthy fats and satiety, flaxseed for omega-3s and fiber.
It sounds way more substantial and beneficial.
Absolutely. More sustained energy,
Yeah.
better digestion, likely, potentially clearer thinking, and maybe even fewer aches and pains from inflammation.
It really does highlight how powerful those breakfast choices are, doesn't it? Setting the tone for the whole day. Energy, focus, just how you feel overall.
It's foundational, truly.
So just to quickly recap the swaps, instead of flavored instant oatmeal, try steel-cut oats with chia and cinnamon.
Right.
Instead of fruit-flavored yogurt, go for plain Greek yogurt with berries and walnuts.
Yep.
And instead of white or low-cal wheat toast, choose sprouted grain toast with almond butter and maybe a sprinkle of flaxseed.
Those are the key swaps. Simple changes, really.
But potentially making a huge difference in how you feel day to day and your long-term health. Now, if you've been listening and finding this helpful, maybe nodding along, and you want to make sure you catch more insights like this, well, now might be a good time to consider subscribing to our channel or feed. We actually have another deep dive coming up soon that you might find really interesting. We'll be looking at foods to perhaps avoid before bed when you're over 60.
Oh, that's a good one. For better sleep?
Better sleep, yeah, but also maybe weight management and keeping hormones balanced. So stay tuned for that.
Sounds useful.
And, thinking about all this, have you ever been told something was healthy? Maybe for years, only to find out later, like with these breakfast foods, that maybe it wasn't the best choice for you?
Oh, definitely. It happens all the time as we learn more. Dietary advice changes.
It really does. We'd actually be curious to hear if you've had experiences like that. It's interesting how certain food ideas get stuck, isn't it?
It is. Those habits can run deep.
Absolutely. So just remember, being informed about what you eat first thing in the morning, it's such a powerful tool. It really can set you up for having sustained energy, better mental clarity, and just feeling stronger all day long.
It empowers you to make better choices.
It really does. So if this deep dive gave you some valuable food for thought, please do give it a like. It helps others find it. And definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already for more content focused on navigating health and well-being, especially for seniors.
And share it. If you know someone who might benefit, pass the information along.
Yeah, absolutely. Share it with friends or family who might appreciate these simple breakfast ideas.
And maybe, just maybe, as you go about your day, take a moment to reflect on your own morning routine.
Yeah.
Just think, what's one small change you could maybe experiment with tomorrow morning? You might be surprised at the difference even one little adjustment can make, not just tomorrow, but for your health in the long run.